So today's card is one that I'm excited to share with you. It's using a new bundle that's not out yet. As demonstrators, we can pre-order earlier. So this bundle is called the At Home Bundle, and it will be available through Stampin' Up! June 1st. So I want to show you the card I made with it. Looks like you're going outside. Isn't that pretty? Is such a neat stamp set. I've used 3 different stamp sets. Let me show you the ones that I've used, and then I'll just go ahead and get cracking with the card. So this is the At Home With You stamp set. It's a photopolymer stamp set. There's 25 stamps in this set. That's a lot of stamps. It's got a cute little welcome mat. It's got a cute little sign that you can add your words to. It's got your wreaths, the little hanger, holly for around the door, and all the different little accents you can use around that door, and a cute sentiment too. Says, I feel at home when I'm with you. So this is a fabulous new stamp set, and it comes with all the coordinating framelits. Oh my goodness. So we'll come back to that. The other stamp set I'm using on this card is sitting here, another great stamp set, and Mediterranean Moments. Also new in our catalog is this gorgeous Wood Textures Designer Series paper, which is double-sided. It's got all your different wood grains and the different colors. I have been using this a lot. So I am going to pull out a piece of Designer Series paper that I'm going to stamp on. I'll just use this piece right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp my door. And the stamp is stained. I've used it a lot since I've been able to play with it a month early before it's available to everybody else. So if you'd like to become a demonstrator and get your hands on some new product a month early and you're in Canada, let me know. Alright, so I've inked this up with Early Espresso, and I'm stamping it on my paper piercing mat. And I'm just pushing down nice and firm. There we go, that's perfect. Now I want to cut that out on my big shot, so there's a little trick to that. Okay, so I have my at-home framelits, and there's 2 pieces we're going to need for the door. I'm going to take those, actually I'm going to take the little window bit out too. Something I want to point out about this piece right here. This is for the inside of the door. Now, when you flip this over, one of the edges is not raised. The other 3 edges are raised, and they will cut the door. So this is the piece that you want to have against the door frame where it's going to open. So the flat sides here and the other 3 with the raised sides are on this end so that it will open. Otherwise, you will cut the wrong side of the door. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to put this onto my bake shot. I just have my multi-purpose platform with my precision base plate. And again, with that flat side over to the left and the other 3 towards the right. So I've got that positioned, and now I'm also going to put my little window framelit on the inside too. Put my plate on top and crank it through. Okay, and I tend to go back and forth. You only have to go the one direction, but it's just habit for me to go back and forth. So we're going to remove these pieces, and I'll show you what we've got. These little bits are going to pop right out. Isn't that fun? And look, the door opens. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so we're going to put this back down, and now we want to cut the door out. So on this framelit, you're going to notice it's wider on one end than the other. This is because this is the top. So I'm going to position that right over the image and crank it through. I'm going to remove that. And then we've got our door that opens. And I'm just going to trim this little bit off on the bottom. And then I just like to bend this a little bit, so it makes it easy for opening on the card. Oh my gosh, how adorable. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. While I still have my big shot, I want to stamp my little sign that I'm going to put on the door. So what I'm going to do is flip over the Designer Series paper that we used. This was the front of the door, but on the reverse side of the Designer Series paper, it's a bit lighter. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp on that lighter side. In this set, we have the word grateful, which I'm going to use, and then I'm going to stamp this little frame right on top. So I'm just going to put that on, and I'm going to use my black memento. I'm going to stamp it right there. Then I'm going to put on my little frame, which I'm also going to ink up. I'm going to stamp that right on top of the word. Can you see what I have there? Now I'm going to cut that out, and I'm going to use this little framelit right here. Position that right over, put my plate on, and crank it through. And look, I have the cutest little sign. I love it. So that gets set aside. Now I have a piece of Designer Series paper. This is from our new Fresh Florals Designer Series paper pack, and this is in our new Lemon Lime Twist. Isn't that gorgeous? And I want to make this look like the wallpaper on the inside of the house. So I need to cut the door out of that. So that gets set down, and then I only need the outside frame of the door. So I'm going to set that down close near the bottom. Put my plate on, and again, put that through the Big Shot. So I will save this for another project, and then there's my piece for the card. Okay, so I have another piece of our Fresh Florals Designer Series paper. This one's in the Berry Burst, which I think is hands down my new favorite Stampin' Up color. Love it, love it. I am taking my Sitting Here stamp set, and I'm going to take this pillow right here, and I'm going to stamp that right onto the Designer Series paper. So basically what I'm doing is I'm cutting out all my pieces first, and then the card comes together really quick after that. So I've got my block, taking my black memento, and I'm just going to stamp it right on here. This is a great way to use up the scrap pieces that we have, the little tiny pieces. I know this one's not super tiny, but I know I'm going to be using it up. And this is a quick way to add a pattern to your pieces. This is what's known as paper piecing. Okay, now I'm going to want to add some dimension to this. So I'm just going to take my stylus and just kind of rub it on the back, and it'll kind of puff this out a little bit. See? Can you see that? So it's going to look kind of 3D-ish on the card. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside with all my little pieces that I've got going on. And now I'm going to take the dog and the cat from the same Sitting Here stamp set, and I'm going to ink them both up. There's the dog. And the cat. So I'm going to really quickly color these two critters. I'm just adding a bit of brown on the dog with my watercolor pencil, and a little bit of gray on the cat. You know what? I'm going to add a little bit of orange to the cat too. Why not? Now I'm taking my blending pen, and I'm just going to blend all of those colors together. This is a really quick way to color our images, and I'm just going back and forth on scrap paper to clean my blending pen before I go back into the colors. Now I'm just going to cut these two guys out. Just really quickly, they don't take long to cut. And the trick, as I've mentioned in other videos, when you're fussy cutting like this, is to turn the paper, not just the scissors. Turn the paper as you cut. Okay, there's the cat almost cut. See, it doesn't take long at all. He gets set aside, and then the little dog. So there's definitely a few different steps to this card, but they don't take long. I actually made a whole bunch of these, well 20 to be exact. I made 20 of these cards for a swap that I recently participated in. And once I figured out my layout and then had all my pieces cut and big shotted, it really didn't take long to put together. Okay, so the same thing I did to the pillow, I'm going to do to the dog. I'm just flipped him over and rubbing the stylus on the back, and it'll kind of pop him out a little bit. Okay, so this is going to go behind the door, and I want it to look like we're looking out to a street. So this is where I'm going to take my Mediterranean Moments, grab the big stamp. Oh, and I just recently learned a trick from my friend Frenchie, also known as France Martin, with the clear stamps. Now, I haven't had a whole bunch of problems with my clear stamps staying on my blocks, but I know a lot of people have, and I have periodically, but not too bad. So a lot of times people won't put the labels on their stamps because they find it sticks better with this. My trick has been, like, I usually put the labels on my stamps. I just haven't done it with this set. But I use my waterless hand sanitizer to clean my blocks, and I find that works really, really good. But Frenchie recently shared a photo of a trick that works so good, and she was so excited about it, and it really does work well. So I'm going to show you. Okay, my block is clean. Let's put the label onto the stamp. So it's cut in the center here, so you peel that off. Okay, and then you just line your stamp up right on top of the label. There, now my label's on. So here's Frenchie's trick. If you take some lip balm, chapstick of any kind, this is just some Watkins that I have, and just scribble a little bit onto the block. You don't need much, and you can just smush it around if you need to. And then put it on your block, and honest to goodness, that adds like crazy suction. It works really, really well. And once you're done stamping, you just clean your block off and then wipe your stamp off as well. Okay, I'm inking this with my black StazOn because I'm going to be doing some really quick watercoloring with water, and I don't want it to bleed. And this StazOn is retiring from Stampin' Up, and I will be purchasing our basic black archival ink because that's waterproof. I just don't have it because I've been using StazOn for so long. Okay, so now some super fast coloring. I'm going to take my smoky slate, my aqua painter, pick up some of that color, and I'm just going to add some to the buildings. Now this is basically just going to be a wash. I am not really worried at all about where I'm putting the color. I just want some color in there. So there is some gray. Then I'm going to take my crumb cake, add some crumb cake to the ground, and then I'm just adding a little bit more down there. Now I'm taking my pool party. I'm going to add a little bit up on the top. So a lot of this is actually going to be hidden behind this, so you don't actually have to color the whole thing in. Now I've got my old olive. See, I told you this was going to be speed coloring. Just a little wash. Now I'm taking some of my Berry Burst, one of our new in colors, and I'm just dabbing on a little bit where some flowers are. Put a little bit down here too. Now I'm taking some of our powder pink, another new in color, and I'm just going to add some color here and there. that's all the coloring I'm going to do. It's not completely colored, but that's fine. Like I said, I just wanted to add a little shot of color, just a little something something to spice it up. So now I'm going to add on my Designer Series paper. And this will go right over top, just like that. Okay, and then this is going to go to my card base. My card base is Early Espresso. I'm just going to put that on the front. See how it's coming together? Okay, next I'm taking a piece of Whisper White, and this measures 3 3/4 by 4, and I'm just going to adhere it right along the bottom. Okay, so I've got my adhesive on there. That goes right on top, just like that. And now I'm going to put my door on. I'm going to use my liquid glue, just because this is a tiny little strip here. And I'm just doing the 3 sides, the top and the 2 sides. And that's just going to tuck right in here, just like that, and go right on top of that paper. So it just fits right in there snug, and then this kind of looks like the floor inside the house. See, it opens up. Isn't that fun? So now we can add some of these pieces. So I've got my Stampin' Dimensionals. So I'm going to put one behind the pillow. And that's going to go right here against the door frame. And then one behind the dog, because I want it to look like the dog is sitting by the door. Just like that. And because I kind of rounded them, they're sort of 3D, which might be hard to see on the camera, but they kind of pop out, which is kind of fun. I want my cat to be outside in the street. So when I open the door, I want the cat right there, I think. Okay. What's next? What's next? In this set, we have a little hanger. So I'm going to take that so I can put on my little sign that we made. Now, I don't need the full length of this, so I'm actually going to put a little post-it note. I want to make sure it's straight. Right there. Stamp that right in the middle. And then my little sign is going to also be put on a dimensional. So I'm just going to cut a dimensional in half. And put that behind it. So the sign will go right there. And actually I'm missing a little bit right above here, so I'm just going to take my marker and just kind of go over that a bit. And now I've got my sentiment from sitting here, which is come and sit a while with me. I have just enough space, I think, to stamp it down below here. Where do I want it? I think I want it right here. So now that is pretty much done. The last bit I'm going to do is take some white twine and then just tie a knot. There. Got a little piece of computer paper for the inside of the card. Isn't that cute? Now, one thing I did on this card that I didn't do on the video, but I wanted to show you that looks kind of cool, is I've added window sheet behind the door. So I just cut a little piece of window sheet and just dabbed a tiny little bit of glue behind it, so it actually looks like there's a window there. So that's something else that you can do to your card, just to give it that little extra dimension. But isn't that fun? When you open it, it looks like you're looking out into the street, looking from your home. So I know there's a lot of little steps to this card, but it's not a hard card to do, and it's just, I think it's super sweet. And this Grateful, by the way, I stamped it on a different color piece of Designer Series paper. So of course you can change up your signs. You could really just do a lot with this layout. So I really like it. I think it's really fun. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Remember, the at-home bundle will be available from Stampin' Up! On June 1st, 2017. Thanks for watching. Happy stamping.